Exercise 14-7, bond issued at discount. So Genesis Company issued a $40,000 5% 10-year bond payable at 90. So remember that the 90 is stated as a percent, so this is as 90%. On January 1st, 2025. Interest is paid semi-annually on January 1st and July 1st. So, requirement number 1, journalize the issuance of the bond payable on January 1st, 2025. Record debits first, then credits, select explanations on the last line of the journal entry. So we know we're getting cash. That's why we issue bonds. So when cash is going up, it's going to be debited. So we have to calculate what that 90% of 40,000 is going to be. So let's go ahead and input cash here and get that calculation going. So we'll scroll down here for a calculator. And then let's go ahead and calculate that $40,000 times 0.9 to get that, or 90 to get the 90% there. And that amount is going to be 36,000 even there. So let's go ahead and enter that in. And then also we know we have a liability now, so we need to increase the liability. So how do we increase liabilities? It's with a credit. So let's go ahead and input bonds payable here. We'll skip a line to save a spot for the discount on bonds payable. So the bonds payable amount here is going to be that $40,000, and that's going to be the credit there to increase the payable. So with this bond payable, in 10 years, we're going to have to pay the $40,000 when the bonds mature. But right now we pay the face value, so now we have to balance this transaction here. So there's going to be a discount on bonds payable here. So now to get the balancing amount, we'll go ahead and subtract the 36,000 from the 40,000 and go ahead and debit that amount here for $4,000. So we're using this account here discount on bonds payable because we issued these bonds at a discount. And how do we know we issued them at a discount? Well, that's because the price we got was less than 100%, this 90 right here. So now that our transaction here is balanced, debits equal credits, we'll go ahead and input the explanation here. So we issued bonds at a discount. Go ahead and check our answer. Okay, nice work. So now for requirement 2, we journalize the payment of the semi-annual interest and amortization of the bond discount or premium on July 1st, 2025. Assume bonds payable are amortized using the straight line amortization method. Record debits first, then credits. Select explanations on the last line of the journal entry. Round your answers to the nearest whole dollar. So notice we issued the bonds on January 1st, 2025. And then how often do we pay interest on bonds semi-annually? That means twice a year, which means every 6 months. So, which in this case means we need to pay the interest on July 1st, which is 6 months after January 1st. So we know we're going to have to pay cash. So I'm going to go ahead and skip a couple of lines here and input cash. And you will see why later. So cash is going down, and how does cash go down? It goes down with a credit on the right. So now we have to calculate the cash amount. So remember, the interest calculation is principal times rate times time. So the principal here is 40,000. So let's go ahead and get our calculator open and put $40,000. And we're going to go ahead and multiply that by 0.05, so that 5%. And then after we get that answer here, we're going to divide that number by 12 to get the amount for each month. And then multiply that amount by 6 in order to get the 6 out of the 12 months interest we are calculating here for that time. So let's go ahead and equal that. So it looks like cash is going to be going down by $8,000. So let's credit that here on the right and input that there. So notice we have this discount on bonds payable account here with a balance of $4,000. So we have to slowly get rid of this account over the life of the bond. So over these 10 years, we have to slowly lower this account, and lowering or reducing is just called amortized. So we're going to have to take this $4,000 and split it up over 10 years. And every time we record our bond on interest payment, we're going to have to amortize this. So we need to amortize this $4,000. So remember, amortize just means to reduce or to spread it out over the 10 years. And then over the twice a year payment. So we're going to take the $4,000, spread it out over the 10 years, and then since that amount is done twice a year, we divide that by 2 here. Divided by 2 for $200. And that is again because there's 2 interest payments per year. So how do we lower this account called discount on bonds payable? Well, notice this is a debit account here. So we're going to have to lower it on the opposite side by the $200. So we need to get rid of that discount on bonds payable. So let's go ahead and input that here. And then we are going to go ahead and lower that. Looks like we're missing a couple zeros on this one, so let's throw those in real quick before we get back to this. So we go ahead and input a credit for $200 here to remove the discount on bonds payable. And then because we are paying interest, we know we have interest expense. And input that here. And then in order to balance this transaction, we're going to have to add these through, so debits equal credits again. So this interest expense is the $1,200. And that is going to be increase in expense with a debit on the left. So what's happening is over time, because we issued these bonds at a discount, that is increasing our interest expense by $200 every 6 months. So let's go ahead and input our explanation here. We have paid semi-annual interest and amortized discount as our explanation. We can go ahead and check our answer. Fantastic. And so now a lot of companies like to issue their bonds at a discount because it increases their interest expense. And why would a company want to increase an expense? Well, because that lowers their profit and therefore lowers their taxes.